on a warning, as we say here in Harambe, Twin Day, and Twin Day does mean, let's go, friends. Well, Jambo, friends, and good afternoon. My name is Hannah. I'm going to be your safari guide out here today on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, before we head in, we are going to go over a few safety reminders. And that is going to be, make sure our number one rule is stay completely seated the entire time. Number two, make sure we keep our arms, hands, feet, and legs inside the truck for me. Now, before we head into the reserve, we have to wait for the warden's final all clear, but while we do, if you guys look above your head, that's an animal spotting guide. It's a pretty good idea of everything we're going to see out here today on the reserve. And we will do our best to see everything. We might not get to, but that's generally due to migration patterns and sleeping patterns, but we generally have pretty good luck, so we'll keep our eyes out. And we are getting that all clear from the warden, so we're going to slowly head on in. But I will say this is a photo safari, so if you do want to take photos, make sure you hold on nice and tight to those cameras and phones, and make sure you have those phones or cameras on an action or sport mode setting, because these animals do have a tendency to keep on moving around because they are all alive. But we are going to be starting our safari right here in the Little Ituri Forest, home to some of the more timid animals, like these beautiful ladies up here on the left-hand side. They are the darker reddish-brown color. They are the bongo. Now, if you notice, those bongo have their horns that are kind of slicked back, and they use those horns to help them move through dense underbrush and forests very quickly, but also very quietly. So that's how they get their nicknames, Ghosts of the Forest. Now, hanging out with them are these ladies at the top of the hill. They are the greater kudu.
How big his ears are.
Bigger
than the other.
Now, those greater kudu, we know they're all females based on the fact that they don't have any horns. Now, if you look above your head, that greater kudu that's listed on there is a male, and you can tell because he's got the really long horns. Those horns can grow up to be about 6 feet long. But as we continue through the Little Ituri Forest, we're going to keep our eyes out over here on the left-hand side for some of our larger inhabitants. But I do see a saddle-billed stork coming up. Looks like it's just chilling in the water right here. We know it's a saddle-billed stork based on that yellow saddle shield shape at the top of their beak. But if you guys look on your left up against the wall, this is a black rhino. Now, black rhinos are very rare out in the wild. That's because they're very heavily poached for their horns, even though their horns are made out of keratin, which is what your fingernails and what your hair is made out of. There's only about 5,000 of them left. Now, they are also some of the smallest types of rhino out there. And there's some more saddle-billed stork there on the right and a greater kudu. You can see kind of how big they are. And there's another one hiding right over here in the bushes. She's kind of making her way around. Now, most of the animals that do call the Little Ituri Forest home, they use lots of their natural camouflaging to blend in very well with their surroundings. So they use lots of this dense underbrush and all the trees to stay hidden. And that is their key for survival, is camouflage. But we're going to be heading out of the Little Ituri Forest, and we're going to make our way along the edge of it, following the Safi River. So the Safi River is going to be home to some of our more aquatic animals, so definitely make sure we keep our eyes on the water. And maybe even along the way we'll catch some local wildlife at the same time. But it does look like we are coming up on the water. The water is going to be over here on the right.
Yeah, you're right, Martin.
Not seeing anything down in the water, but if we're seeing any large ripples or any bubbles being blown, let me know, because we'll keep our eyes out for them. And no worries for my friends on the left, the river is going to continue. We're going to pass right on over it.
Wingspan. Oh, there they go.
Not seeing anything, so we're going to keep on going. But we do have one of these beautiful birds right here in the water. Looks like they're going to be swimming along next to us. These are pink-backed pelicans. Now, these pink-backed pelicans normally do nest in groups of up to 50, but sometimes groups of up to 500. So they are very social birds. They also get their name from under their wings. Their feathers will actually turn a light pinkish color. And it's kind of like if you guys have ever had a crush on someone before and blushed when you saw them. It's pretty much the same thing. Now, here on the left, these are Nile hippos. Now, these Nile hippos can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes at a time. And they do that so they can stay in the water for primarily most of the entire day. And that's so they don't get overheated. Now, at night is when they do come out to graze along the banks because they are actually vegetarians. But if you ever saw their teeth, you might not think so. So their teeth are about 18 inches long. Yep, did you guys spot the tiny baby back there? She was hiding back there. But her next door neighbor, we're gonna see right here. Looks like they're very excited to see you. Look at that big, beautiful smile of theirs. These guys are the Nile crocodiles. Now, Nile crocodiles are some of the largest crocodiles out there in Africa, measuring out to be about 16 feet long and weighing up to 500 pounds. Now, most grown adults, all grown adults, can actually eat up to half their body weight in one sitting, which means they normally only eat once a week, but they are known to go an entire month or a few months without eating if food is scarce out in their natural habitat. Now, I did say they were smiling at you because they are. They're happy to see you, just as happy as I am that you guys are here on our safari, but they're also probably trying to cool off, and that is how they do that because crocodiles don't actually have sweat glands, so they don't sweat like we do to cool our body down. They have to sit there, just like that, mouth wide open, and they can bring their body temperature down a full 10 to 20 degrees. Now, there are actually two types of crocodiles out here in Disney's Animal Kingdom. We have the Nile crocodile here on the safari, and then out in Dino Land, USA, you can find the American crocodile, which is going to be just a little bit smaller, but it's on, you can see it on your way to the dinosaur attraction. Well, my friends, it does look like we are going to make our way pole pole into the savannah. Pole pole is Swahili for slow slow. So we're gonna pull up right here and take a quick pause. But while we do, we're gonna talk about this big beautiful tree right here on our right hand side. That is a baobab tree. Now, baobab trees do stay leafless just like that for about 9 months out of the year. And they do that so they can conserve water. Now, if you notice those bases are very, very large, that's where they can hold thousands upon thousands of gallons of water, which is especially very important during the dry season out here on the savannah. And during the dry season, there's little or no access to water, so these trees are very important. Now, that baobab tree does have a nickname. When it does grow leaves, it sprouts a fruit that's very high in vitamin C, and that's where it gets its nickname, the Tree of Life. So as you guys entered the park this morning, you might have noticed there was a huge, huge tree right in the middle, and it is also called the Tree of Life. So that Tree of Life is a baobab tree, just a really fancy one with lots of cool animals carved into it. But it does look like we are going to be coming around and officially coming on to the savannah. And the savannah is going to be home to some of the most famous wildlife that everyone knows and loves, like giraffes, zebras, lions, and elephants. So we'll definitely keep our eyes out for them. I do see a dazzle right across from us, and dazzle is what we call a group of zebras. So we're going to get a little closer to them here in just a few seconds. Now, as we make our way through, you'll kind of notice that the savannah is very flat. There's not lots of trees. So out here on the savannah, agility and speed is actually going to be how they stay safe. So the little Ituri Forest, all those animals use their camouflage out here. It's to be very agile and very quick. So most of these animals, right after they're born, are able to stand within 30 minutes to an hour after being born. And that's really, really important for their survival.
That's what you need. What? Be able to stand 30 minutes.
Now out here, most of the animals like zebras, wildebeest, and some of the antelope will keep the grass nice and short, while the giraffes, the taller guys, they'll keep the trees trimmed. They'll keep the trees nice and short up at the top so they don't grow out super long. And then sometimes elephants will actually bulldoze through the forest to actually knock the trees over so they're able to eat them. But we do have some animals coming up on our left. If you guys look here in the grass, but also to the far left-hand side of that wall back there, there's a few animals laying down on the ground. They are called African wild dogs. Now, these African wild dogs are also known as African painted dogs. And that is because it does kind of look like they've got a little bit of a splatter paint on them. But they are some of the most successful hunters out on the African savannah, and that's because they hunt in very large packs, but they're able to hunt their prey to complete exhaustion. Just make sure we are completely seated for me, down all the way, thank you. Now back here in the left-hand corner, we're going to have a darker brown animal, and they are the sable antelope, which is the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They're very brave creatures. And then next to them are the smaller tan ones, which are the springbok. Only about 3 feet tall, and they get their name from being able to spring 6 feet in the air and 13 feet forward. Now hanging out with the springbok are the larger gray animals that are laying down right in the middle, those are the white-bearded wildebeest. And if you guys actually look back and you notice, they're actually all facing in completely separate directions. And that's so they can keep an eye out for any predators that could approach them from any angle. So it's very important for them to be able to see everything, but they're also spaced out. So if they need to get away, they can stand up successfully and make a quick getaway. But just like I mentioned at the very beginning of the savannah, it looks like we're going to be coming up on the dazzle here on the left, and the one that's actually to the farthest left, he's eating right by his mom. He's actually called a foal, so he's a baby Hartman's mountain zebra. Now, Hartman's mountain zebra are one of 4 different types of zebras, but they have 2 characteristics that set them apart from other types of zebras. So if you notice, they have a white underbelly and those thick stripes on the back of their legs. That is what differentiates them from the other 4 types of zebras out there. Now, if you guys ever wondered if a zebra is black with white stripes or white with black stripes, if you guys notice, their muzzle or their nose is black, so that actually means they are black with white stripes.
So is their belly just one giant?
Now, as we continue a little further into the savannah, we're going to still keep our eyes out for some more animals. Looks like we've done a really good job at seeing lots of them at the beginning, but we've got just a few more right up ahead. I do see a giraffe up ahead, so it looks like we're going to be coming up on the tower here in just a few seconds.
Close the door, there's a giraffe.
And a tower is what we call a group of Maasai giraffes. So they're going to be on the right and the left-hand side of the truck. Now, specifically, we know that these are Maasai giraffe based on their jagged coat pattern that they have. But if you see this giraffe that's closest to us, after you look at him, if you look back in the palm trees, there are some Ankole cattle as well. They're actually one of the 2 domestic animals we have here on the safari. And those horns are pretty big, about 3 to 4 feet in length, but hollow on the inside, so only about 20 pounds per pair. Now, we are going to be coming up on the rest of the Maasai giraffe, and I will say, it does look like the baby is out, so make sure we are trying to keep our voices to a little lower of a tone, because we definitely don't want to freak him out. He is spooked very easily, but he's going to be right here on the left. He's going to be laying closest to us, but he's only about 3 months old. He's right here, right in the middle, and he is only about 6.5 feet tall, so he's not very big. But if he was standing up, he would actually be able to look you guys right in the eyes. And that's very common for a Maasai giraffe when they're born to be about 6 feet tall. But he'll grow up to be nice and tall just like his mom, about 18 to 20 feet tall. So I feel like that's personally where they get their group name, the tower, from. But this is pretty much what they do all day, every day. They graze for 20 hours a day. And they spend the other 3 to 4 hours migrating to find more food. Now, I saw a few of you point out the over your shoulder in the right in the palm trees back there with those really large horns. Those were the Ankole cattle that I was telling you guys about. You kind of get a little bit different of an angle view for them. But as we continue, if you guys look here on your left and your right, we do have some broken down trees, so I have a feeling that we're going to be coming up on some of the larger inhabitants of the savannah. So we'll keep our eyes out for those guys, but we'll also keep our eyes out for even some monkey business as we're making our way through here.
Here's some monkeys.
Now over on the left, I am seeing some monkey business. They are the mandrills. Now these mandrills are actually some of the largest monkeys out there, weighing about 100 pounds each. And they have those blue and red markings on their face. So the blue and red markings on their face will actually get brighter the more excited that they get. But they are actually really, really cool creatures. If you guys have ever seen a mandrill open its mouth, that actually means it is trying to communicate with the other mandrills that are out there, possibly even telling them that it's okay for them to approach. My friends, it does look like this road is closed. We're going to have to go around just a bit. We're going to make our way around. But while we do, if you guys look over your right-hand shoulder, looks like he's reaching up nice and high into the trees. It is an African elephant. Just make sure we stay completely seated for me. All the way down. Thank you. Now, these African elephants are quite large. This one is a smaller male. We know that based on the fact that he's pretty small. He's supposed to grow up to be nice and big, about 14,000 pounds, while females are about half that, about 7,000 to 8,000 pounds. Now, he is by himself. That's also how we can tell he's a male, because at a certain age, for elephants, they'll kind of boot out their younger males so they can go out and make their own families and kind of do their own thing and become the most dominant in their own group, while the females stay all together in a herd. So we're gonna see if we can't find that female herd, but first we're gonna cross over this wonderful little rickety bridge. You guys might get a little sneak peek of him right over there on the left, kind of through the little gap that's in the wall. It's on his best side, but that's okay.
It just like sounds.
I know it. Now, if I was down on
Now, as we continue, I do see some elephant tracks right up ahead, and even some tusk marks in the walls on the right and the left. So you can see these tusk marks in the walls, and that means we're getting a little closer to that family herd. So I do see them out there on the left-hand side, so we're gonna see if we can't get a way better view of them instead of trying to look at them through the trees. The elephants do have those two beautiful ivory tusks on the front of their face, and they use those tusks to scrape out that red clay so they can eat it, because that red clay is actually very high in natural vitamins and other minerals to help keep them nice and healthy. So it's kind of like if you guys have ever had a multivitamin before, or even just a regular vitamin, it's pretty much the same thing, has the same kind of purpose. Helps keep them nice and healthy. Now we are coming up on the female herd. They're going to be on the left, kind of all hanging out. But you guys actually will get to see one of the smaller ones. She's actually right in the middle, flapping her ears. She's only about 4.5, 5 years old, so she's hanging out right in the middle. Now, when elephants flap their ears, that actually means they're trying to cool down, and they have an amazing cooling system, so that if they flap their ears constantly, they're cooling down their entire body. Now, they can also use these big dirt mounds. What they'll do is they'll pick that dirt up with their trunks and throw it on their face, on their back, and even on their legs. And that dirt will actually act as a natural sunscreen for them, helping keep them nice and safe from the sun, because they actually do have very sensitive skin. Now, something that I always find pretty incredible about these elephants is that you'll notice there are some more baobab trees around them. And that's because during the dry season, elephants are actually able to knock these trees over so they can get the water out, so they can stay hydrated. So just like elephants, make sure you guys stay hydrated out here as well. It is kind of hot outside today, and hydration is very important. Now, over here on the left-hand side, we do have some greater flamingo. Now, when these greater flamingo are born, they're actually not naturally this pink color. And you can kind of tell because there are two gray ones right in the middle. Those are getting older. And it'll take them about 2 whole years to get their beautiful pink color. And they do get their pink coloration from the keratin that's in brine shrimp, which is their all-time favorite food. But they are actually some of the lightest pink flamingo that are out there. Now, my all-time favorite fact about them is actually that a flock of flamingos is called a flamboyance. And with that, we're gonna keep making our way a little deeper into the savannah, slowly but surely. Now we are officially entering the east part of the savannah. And I'm thinking we're going to be running into some more larger animals, because out here on the left, it looks like we have the white rhinos. Now, the one that's actually laying down right across from us, that is the baby. He's only about 10 to 11 months old. He weighs about 1,000 pounds, so that is very common for him right now. But he will grow up to be about 6,000 to 7,000 pounds, which is very, very large. That makes white rhinos some of the larger rhinos, much larger than the black rhino that we saw earlier. But they get their names from the Afrikaans word "wide," which actually means wide. So if you look at their mouths, they do have a very wide set mouth, and that is what they are named after, rather than their color, because both black and white rhinos are indeed gray. Now we are going to be continuing on just a little further, but we're going to be going through big cat country, and right here at the top of the hill on the left, we can see 2 cheetahs. Now, these cheetahs are in the top 10 fastest land animals out there. They can run up to speeds of 60 miles an hour in 3 seconds.
Wow.
Now, they do use their tails to actually help keep themselves balanced as they run. And they are some of the only big cats that hunt during the day, which gives them a little bit of advantage. As well as, if as we kind of come around, there's another cheetah. She's laying on the ground. You'll kind of notice if you look a little closer, she has a black line that connects the inside of her eye to the tip of her mouth. And she has that on both sides, and that black line will actually help avoid glare from the sun, so they have that more success hunting during the day.
Yeah.
But we are going to trade our daytime hunting big cat for one of the nighttime hunting cat. So over here on the left, this is called a copy, this copy rock. And the copy juts out over the savanna, giving some of the larger big cats an advantage to look out and see everything on the savanna, as well as gives them a great napping place. So we'll keep our eyes out for them. But as we come around the copy, we'll keep our eyes out for some other animals as well. Not seeing any just yet. But I do see some more of the crash. And a crash is what we call a group of white rhinos. So part of the crash is on the right and part is on the left. But if you guys look kind of between the ostriches way in the back, there's a little white rump back there. That is actually the bontabak. We're going to see if we can't get a better view of him. But then we also have the ostrich. Now, these ostrich are actually Africa's largest flightless birds. They can run up to speeds of 40 miles an hour. And their wings are actually made to help them change direction while they run.
Where? Oh, right against the wall, right there. Down in the crevice. I don't think it's moved in 2 days.
Now, I would say, even though we didn't get to catch Simba, if you guys come back around, if you guys are still here around the end of the day, I would say between 5 and 6:15. 6:15 is our last safari. That's probably the best time to come and visit the lions, because they will be very active. But we're going to catch his bestie Pumbaa instead over here on the left. They're kind of along the back. Pumbaa is actually Swahili for foolish one. But these are the warthogs, and they use their snouts and those tusks and those tiny feet of theirs to dig these deep burrows in the ground. Now, they will use the burrows mainly at night so they can back into them to keep themselves safe from any predators. But warthogs are Africa's largest burrowing animal. We're going to see if we can't get a better look at that bontabak. There he is, right across from us in the clearing. He's that little brown animal with the horns. Now, bontabak are actually very special because they were almost extinct. There was only about 20 of them left out in their natural habitat until a local farmer out in Africa actually rescued them and protected them on his land, helping bring that population slowly back up over a long amount of time. And the reason why they're so special is because you can only find them on reserves today. That's because they are still endangered. But he is super special. Also, he is a little super senior. He's about 15 to 17 years old. And bontabak would be about 10 to 12 years old out in the wild. So he's a little super senior out there, being a superstar. But it does look like we are coming into our final destination, which is Magadi Glen, home to the Warden's Post. And the Warden has taken in some new friends to help them hold down the fort. And it looks like they're doing a great job. I'm going to keep that grass nice and short. So out here on the left, you guys are going to see the second domestic animal that's here on the safari. They are the Nigerian dwarf goats. They're here on the porch, and then there's going to be a few back in the left-hand corner. Now, even though these Nigerian dwarf goats look small, they are actually all adults. But they are also exceptional climbers, my friends, and they absolutely love to play. Now, when they are playing, that's actually them trying to figure out who's the most dominant in the entire group. Now, they are actually very important. There's a few more goats up here on the left kind of hanging out. They are actually very important because they do eat grass, but these goats are special because unlike other domestic animals, they're able to eat any undergrowth that grows, so any unhealthy grass that grows. So they're able to eat it and digest it, helping keep that soil nice and safe and clean, but they're also helping keep the grass nice and short for the Warden. But my friends, it does look like we are coming towards the end of our safari. And we're going to make our way slowly back to the Harambe village. I think we've had a pretty successful safari, don't you guys think so?
Yeah.
We've seen pretty much every baby we have out there. I think we did see every baby we have out there. So that is always a really special thing, because sometimes they're not all out at the same time. But I would say if you guys do want to, throughout your day, if you find yourself wanting to ride again, definitely do it. I encourage it. But you'll always get a different safari guide. But also, you might even get to see the animals doing different things during different times of the day. And you might even get to see some of those even more rare animals that we might not have caught this time through. here in Harambe, we actually have more opportunities to visit animals. So after you guys disembark, you guys can visit Gorilla Falls Expedition Trail, which is actually going to be right here off the exit of Kilimanjaro Safaris. So if you take the trail all the way back up to the stroller parking lot and then take a right, that's going to be the beginning of the trail. It's about a 15 to 20 minute walk through, but it is very fun. It is shaded, but you can see a brand new baby gorilla. You can even watch the hippos swim around out there. It's a really, really great thing. But we are getting the all clear from the warden, so we're going to go ahead and head in. I do just want to say it was an absolute pleasure driving you guys today. Once again, my name is Hannah, but here in Harambe, we don't really like to say goodbye because that is way too final and way too sad. So we say Kwaherini, and Kwaherini does mean goodbye, but it also means to go well. So go well, go wild. Have a great rest of your day, my friends.